You are staring at the checkout screen. Your cart is loaded up. Maybe it's a $200 pair of sneakers or a new monitor or, just a massive Sephora haul. Your mouse hovers over the place order button. But then you look at the total. $200. That stings a little. You have it in your checking account, sure, but it's just enough money to make you pause. And right there, right when you are about to close the tab and walk away, you see it. Pay in 4 easy installments of $50. 0% interest. $50? I mean, $50 is nothing. You spend $50 on a random Tuesday getting takeout and a couple of coffees. It suddenly feels incredibly manageable. So you click it. You get the dopamine hit of the new purchase, and your bank account barely feels the dent. You think you just made a smart financial move. Most people think using buy now, pay later is a savvy budgeting hack. Like, why would I pay for it all right now when I can get a free 0% interest loan with their money? But the math proves it is actually a psychological trap. You didn't just outsmart the system, you just sold a piece of your future cash flow for a temporary chemical hit in your brain. Because I look at these balance sheets all day. I'm Heisenbank, and I see exactly how this specific product is quietly bankrupting the middle class. Not with massive, crushing mortgages, but with tiny, invisible cuts. By the time we finish this, you're going to see how breaking this one seemingly harmless habit will literally buy back years of your retirement. And I'm going to show you the exact math the retailers are using to play you. Let's look at the trap. Here's the thing about buy now, pay later. It feels safe. It wears the mask of financial responsibility. It is not like swiping a high-interest credit card and letting the balance ride, right? There's a schedule, 4 payments, done in 6 weeks, no interest. It feels clean, but it's a mirage because what you are actually doing is stacking invisible liabilities. You are creating a traffic jam in your checking account that you won't actually see until next month. Let's say it's November. You buy the shoes, $50 a month. Cool. 2 weeks later, your car needs a tire, and the shop has a buy now, pay later option. It's $100 a month. Whatever, it's an emergency. Then Black Friday hits. You grab a Christmas gift for your mom, another $40 a month. You haven't spent that much today, but you just guaranteed that your entire December and January paychecks are going to be absolutely chewed to pieces before the money even lands in your account. You didn't budget, you just borrowed from a future version of yourself. And future you is going to be incredibly stressed out because life doesn't stop happening just because you scheduled a payment. The rent is still due, the grocery bill still hits, but now you have $190 automatically drafting from your account every month for stuff you bought weeks ago and probably already forgot the thrill of. Let's get into the hard numbers, because this is the part the apps desperately hope you never sit down and calculate. When you use these services, you are sacrificing your most valuable wealth-building tool, your monthly cash flow. Let's say you get into the habit of always having about $200 a month tied up in these short-term installment plans. Clothes, electronics, maybe some concert tickets. $200 a month that is constantly spoken for. What is the actual cost of that? If you took that $200 a month and instead of using it to finance depreciating consumer garbage, you invested it, say an S&P 500 index fund, and let's assume a totally average conservative 7% annual return. Over 10 years, that $200 a month turns into $34,000. Over 20 years, it's $104,000. Over 30 years, it's nearly $245,000. You are giving up $250,000 in future wealth, so you can have a slightly nicer jacket today without waiting 2 weeks to save up for it. But it gets worse, because the 0% interest claim, it is basically a giant technicality. These companies know human nature. They know that if you give people enough tiny overlapping payments, eventually they will lose track. They will miss a payment. And when you miss a payment, the trap snaps shut. Roughly 1 in 3 users of these services misses a payment at some point. When that happens, you get hit with a late fee, usually around $7 or $8. Now, $8 doesn't sound like a lot, But let's do the math on the actual percentage. If you owe a $25 installment and you are charged an $8 late fee, that is a 32% penalty in 1 month. If you annualize that, it's a 384% interest rate. 384%. A payday loan shark hanging out in a dusty strip mall would look at that math and blush. But because it is packaged in a sleek pastel app on your iPhone, we call it financial innovation. Hey, real quick, if you're starting to realize how much of the financial system is just a rigged game designed to keep you broke, take 1 second and hit the subscribe button. I break down these invisible traps every single week, and I want you to actually keep your own money. It's totally free to subscribe, and it helps the channel out a lot. Okay, let's look at why your brain falls for this so easily. There's a concept in behavioral economics called the pain of paying. When you hand over physical cash for an item, the pain centers in your brain literally light up. It hurts to lose resources. Evolution wired us this way to stop us from starving. Credit cards diluted that pain. You swipe plastic, you don't see the cash leave, it hurts less. Buy now, pay later completely shatters the pain of paying. It nukes it from orbit. Because you get 100% of the dopamine, the thrill, the status of the item right now. But the financial pain is chopped up into 4 tiny microscopic pieces and delayed into the future. It is frictionless, and friction is the only thing keeping the middle class from spending themselves into oblivion. You see, the middle class makes decent money. Maybe you make $70,000 or $90,000 or $120,000 a year. You feel like you should be able to afford nice things. You work hard. You deserve the nice couch. You deserve the Peloton. But your actual liquid cash flow is tight. The mortgage, the car payment, the insurance, it eats everything. So when you see a $1,000 couch, you can't actually buy it, unless it's just $80 a month for 12 months. It creates a perfect illusion of wealth. You get to live a lifestyle that your income cannot actually support. You are renting a lifestyle, and your brain completely ignores the danger because the immediate cost is so low. Now, you might be wondering, if I am not paying interest, how are these companies making billions of dollars? Who is actually paying for this? The stores are, and they are doing it happily. When you use a regular credit card, the merchant pays a processing fee of around 2 or 3%. When you use a buy now, pay later service, the merchant pays a massive fee to that company, usually between 4 and 6% plus a flat fee per transaction. Why on earth would a store willingly give up 6% of their revenue? Whispers, because they know it makes you stupid. They have the data. Merchants know that when they add that little Pay in 4 button to their checkout page, their average order value skyrockets, usually by 40 to 60%. People who are going to buy 1 shirt suddenly buy 3. People who are going to abandon their cart entirely suddenly pull the trigger. The retailer is happily paying that 6% fee because you are buying 60% more stuff than you actually need, and more importantly, stuff you cannot actually afford. You are not hacking the retailer. The retailer is using behavioral science to hack you. And if you think this isn't affecting your broader financial life, you are wrong. We have a massive blind spot in our economy right now, and it is called phantom debt. Most of these short-term installment loans do not get reported to the major credit bureaus. Equifax, Experian, they often have no idea you owe $2,000 across 6 different apps for clothes and electronics. Which sounds great, right? It doesn't hurt your credit score until it ruins you. Because it doesn't build your credit when you pay on time. But the second you default, the second you fall behind because your checking account ran dry, they will sell that debt to a collections agency so fast your head will spin. And that absolutely goes on your credit report. It is all risk with absolutely zero structural reward. Plus, because lenders can't see this debt, people are getting approved for car loans and mortgages that they absolutely cannot afford. The bank looks at your income and says, yeah, you can afford a $2,000 mortgage, but the bank doesn't know you are secretly bleeding $800 a month in invisible microloans for Sephora, Best Buy, and Nike. So you sign the mortgage, and then 3 months later, you are drowning. So how do you actually fix this? You have to change your fundamental philosophy about money and time. Stop borrowing from your future self to fund your present boredom. That is really what this is. We are bored, we want a treat, and we let an app steal our future wealth to give us a temporary high. If you cannot afford to buy the item in cash, twice, right now, you cannot afford the item. I'm serious. Delete the apps. Remove the browser extensions. Force yourself to feel the pain of paying again. If you want the $200 shoes, save $50 a week for 4 weeks. If you get to week 4 and you still want them, buy them in cash. But I promise you, half the time, by the time you actually save the money, the dopamine craving will have passed. You will look at those $200 in your hand and think, you know what? I'd rather just keep the money. That is how the middle class actually builds wealth, not by financing depreciating liabilities, but by keeping their cash flow clear and buying assets. I'll leave you with this thought. There's an old proverb that says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender." Don't willingly put your own chains on just because the handcuffs come in 4 easy installments. I am Heisenbank. See you on the next one.